are talking now live with Doc Watson, one of the world's foremost entertainers, especially in folk and bluegrass music and circles like that. Doc, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Let me start out at the beginning of the interview here with some of your heritage and your roots. Do you come from a musical family?
Not professional musicians, but my mother used to sing a bunch of the old ballads. My dad was the singing leader in the little country church. Most of the singing when I was growing up was unaccompanied, without any piano or organ or anything.
Right, a cappella singing.
Yeah, and my dad did a few of the good old-time banjo tunes on the banjo when he made me a little homemade banjo when I was 11, I believe.
Oh, so you started out playing the banjo before anything else?
Yeah, a few of the old Fralin tunes, but when the guitar came along, I reckon it was my first love in music.
Well, what influenced you to pick up a guitar and play a guitar?
Oh, I loved the guitar from the time I first heard one on a record, and when I got a hold of a guitar, I realized that it was the instrument I really wanted to work with rather than the banjo.
That's interesting. I don't know how many people would realize that you were really exposed to the banjo first and found your way to the guitar.
The harmonica came before the banjo, even.
I understand. And which you still use the harmonic in a lot of your pieces.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Use it occasionally on the shows.
Mm-hmm.
There may be 3 or 4 different tunes, blues and different things,
Yeah, that's an instrument that adapts very well to a lot of the different styles you perform. Do you ever use the banjo or anything like, another stringed instrument in your solo performances anymore?
Well, I don't really do any solo performances on the road. If you mean a whole show with just me, I don't do that.
Uh-huh, I understand.
I always work with two other musicians.
Oh, okay. So, in fact, when you come to our town on Tuesday night, you will be with 2 other musicians?
Yes, I will be.
Well, that's great.
I will be with Mike Coleman, T. Michael Coleman,
mm-hmm.
and Jack Lawrence.
Oh, both of those people have recorded fairly, at least T. Michael Coleman has found his way onto many records that I've been using here at the station.
Jack has worked with half a dozen different bluegrass bands, and he's working himself up to a professional musician. He's carried on quite a few bluegrass records, albums with different bands.
Mm-hmm. Doc, what kind of guitar are you presently using?
Gallagher.
And you use that one exclusively?
Yeah, I sure do.
Do you find yourself dropping into any sort of different tunings, or do you basically like to stick with one tuning? Or?
I seldom ever go out of the standard tuning. Once in a great while, I'll go either to a G or a D tuning for something, but most of the time I play it out of the regular standard tuning for the guitar.
Okay, I didn't understand if that would present a problem to you only having one guitar. I know I've seen guys work that, and it seems like too much trouble.
Well, it ain't all, if you got a good instrument, it's not all that bad. You get in and out of a different tuning. Banjo's harder than guitar.
So you love that Gallagher guitar?
Yes, sir. Like my Gallagher.
Okay. In listening to your music and a lot of the songs that you've recorded, I've been using a song a lot on the station. It's a fiddle number that you do called Twin Sisters.
Yeah. That's Merle on the 5-string.
Mm-hmm.
And me on the flat-top guitar, Sam Bush on the fiddle.
Just real interesting, because I've heard other things you've done. Like, my favorite version of all times of the song Shady Grove is a live version I have of you doing that song, but I assume you perform that song in much the same style.
That's from the on-stage album, I believe.
Yes. And you make it sound... It's almost haunting, It's the things that you do that incorporate minor chords and things like that seem to really. I don't know if it really turns you on that particular sound, but it really comes across that way. Like you really seem to shine on things like that. Like the same with the Twin Sisters. That particular instrumental has a sort of not particularly an eerie sound, but it just sort of when you have those minor chords in there, it just kind of grabs your mind a little more. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Shined on that cut. Merle and everybody on it, even the bass player.
Yeah, well, that came off excellent. How's that album been doing for you?
Pretty good.
That's the one that we're using here a lot. As a matter of fact, we're going to use Twin Sisters on here.
That is the Sugar Hill album, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that album's doing great. There's a new album coming, speaking of records, there's a new album coming next week. I believe they're going to give it its debut at Carnegie Hall when we work that job over there. It's on flying fish, and it's called Picking the Blues.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it as far as your personnel and what went into it? This is a great time to promote it.
Well, the album incorporates songs from a couple of the old pop standards, St. Louis Blues and Stormy Weather, all the way over to funky old Mississippi Delta blues called Mississippi Heavy Water Blues. There's a Delmore Brothers blues on a bunch of different things. And Sam Bush and I do an old-time fiddle tune on there called Carroll County Blues. We swap breaks on it.
Mm-hmm. You managed to get Sam Bush to work with you in between his Newgrass Revival stuff and his own solo stuff.
Yeah. We got him on the last two albums.
He's an excellent musician, isn't he?
Huh?
He's an excellent musician.
Oh, yes, he is. Mark O'Connor is, too. He's been on a couple of our albums.
Yeah, yeah. As a matter of fact, there was a show on one of the cable channels, and I think Mark O'Connor was your fiddler. That Merle was there. Peter Rowan was on that show.
Yeah. Soundstage.
Right, exactly. That was real nice. You guys had a real good time at the end there, playing away the finale number.
If the sound had been as good as what we did that night, you would have thought it was good.
That can be a problem for a performer, isn't it? You have to be, you're so intense on and portraying that music, and then sometimes, you know, the sound system that you have to work with isn't always the best. And
the audio recording they get with TV film isn't always that good.
Yeah, they're working on every day. I think that time goes by, they kind of improve on that, and hopefully they will get the technology up on that. I mean, they have these stereo televisions now and everything.
Yeah.
You think they'd be working real hard to make the music sound as good as it could be.
Yeah, they would, as much as they're trying to put video things across, you know, those video shows for television.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Doc, what kind of show will we expect to see from Doc Watson and the boys up here on Tuesday night, May 14th at the Blue Marsh Inn?
It'll feature just about what you hear on the albums. If you covered, say, 3 or 4 different albums of the later albums, it will feature anything from traditional to an old pop standard. Done, of course, in country style. We won't play sweet, intricate jazz music. We play by ear, all 3 of us do. And as I said, it'll incorporate, say, if you went through 3 or 4 albums or 5 and picked out a bunch of favorites that you like, with a little talking and informality.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah, I've heard you many times live, and you do tell some interesting little, short little preludes to the song. And what's the one story you tell about? There was a banjo song. Again, I caught it on a live show, and I can't remember the names of the songs to save my soul. But you told a story about the old man going out in the cold, out of the cabin, and so forth. And that's what Frosty Morn, was that it?
Yeah, I just tried to paint a picture of a frosty morning at a cabin, an old boy going out and getting him some wood and getting the fire started up. And while he's waiting for the house to warm up a little for the lady to get up and fix his breakfast, he got his fiddle. And he probably thought up that tune. That was just an imaginary thing on my part.
Right, just a little introduction.
Yeah.
Well, I think that blends and weaves a performance. I enjoy that personally. So you'll be maybe doing a little bit of that kind of stuff as well.
I reckon I will.
Oh, that sounds excellent. Okay, and what else do you have coming up on the forefront? You have a new record album coming up. Any trips you'd like to promote or talk about?
Well, not right offhand. If I had the schedule sheet, we could talk about a bunch of trips I've got to do this summer. We're going to put a bluegrass album, or almost bluegrass, in the can in June.
Oh, that'll be great. Who's that going to be for?
It'll be for Sugar Hill, and it'll have Bailiff Fleck, it'll have Sam Bush, and Merle, and T. Michael Coleman on the bass, and if possible, Mark O'Connor on the fiddle. If not, we'll try to get Blaine Sprouse. He works with the
Osborne brothers. Yeah, well, he's an excellent fiddle player, too.
Yeah. Mark O'Connor's the most versatile I know of, though. Have you ever heard him live, extensively, really play?
I never heard him live, only on television and on records.
He's mellowing out into a great musician, I think.
He complements what you need to do, and what in your opinion makes somebody that kind of a musician. I mean, now here you are, a man that's, obviously extremely talented and is obviously emotionally really wrapped into the music when you're playing it, because you said you play from feel, not from, reading or anything like that. You play from emotion.
Well,
what in your mind stands out, as a good musician?
Well, not only technical versatility, you need that if you're going to play a lot of different kinds of music, but you also need to be able to feel that music when you play it, and Mark seems to. And Mark, don't care what you put him at, Mark can play about 4 different instruments equally well, not only the fiddle. He's great on mandolin, guitar, and fiddle, and I've heard it said he could play the banjo. I haven't heard him do that. And he's a virtuoso. And you'll play an intricate thing without rehearsing, sit down and play the harmony to it right on the recording tape.
Marco,
in the world, a guy can do that.
Yeah, that does amaze you. I mean, what also amazes me is guys that you can sit down and, like you said, just hum a tune. They'll pick up an instrument, just play the same tune. I mean, it's really neat when guys can do that. And what else happens sometimes is that real magical time when, you know what it's like when things are cooking on stage and then no words are spoken, but people start to feed off of each other's energy.
Yeah, it's great when that happens.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're going to be treated to a real fine show, and I'm sure that we're gonna be treated to a real fine show. What we want to do is get as many folks out to the Blue Marsh Inn on Tuesday night, May 14th, as possible to see this, because, Doc, frankly, you haven't. We're real lucky. You haven't been able to come to our town all that often. This may even be the first time in a long time.
Well, I'll be right there with the boys a picking and a grinning. So we hope everybody enjoys it, Dave, and. All you folks come out and we'll do our best to entertain you.
All right. Thank you, Doc Watson.
Thank you.
All right. Doc, if you wouldn't mind not hanging up for 1 second, may I ask you another question?
Yeah.
Would it be possible appropriately for Mother's Day?
Now, what kind of festival did you say that is?
Okay, Bluegrass.
Yep. Hello, folks. You're listening to WHUM and Eastside Dave's Bluegrass Festival.
Okay. The only thing is you got to tell them who you are.
Hello, folks. This is Doc Watson. You're listening to WHUM and Eastside Dave's Bluegrass Festival.
All right, that's great.
Is that enough?
That'll do it. I'll be looking forward to meeting you on Tuesday night then.
All right, Dave.
Thank you, Doc.
Good talking to you.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.